hot roster today. All the news you need because it is a Wednesday, and Cam Stewart, Gary and Thorne, all 4 sports.
It's wild.
Currently happening. We got to not just give the people the news they need. We got to decipher it. We got to it's like the gold rush here, Cam.
That's a good thing about HotRoster, though.
Through this stuff.
They can mix it up.
They need to know.
They mix it up, though. You can combine these sports, which I really like.
We had our smorgasbord card a couple days ago with 3 sports. Last night you could play MLB with NFL, with NBA, with NHL. It was crazy. So it is Wednesday, though. Wednesday means Thursday is tomorrow.
Exactly.
Thursday means football. So
does it? It's Jacksonville and Tennessee.
I mean, it's a loose translation at this point, but we are inching closer to Week 8. So, as we usually do for the Big 4, it is NFL centric. We're talking Melvin Gordon off the top, who really at this point I want to say he's had an interesting season. He's maybe had the most interesting fantasy career of any player in recent memory. Last season could not get in the end zone at all. This season, it's basically all he can do.
Touchdowns.
10 touchdowns, Cam. 8 on the ground, 2 through the air, and he's on pace for 361 touches right now. That is a big number in today's NFL. So, not surprising to hear his running backs coach, Ollie Wilson, come out and say, maybe that's going to be too many. Not a whole lot in terms of other options. You got Farrow there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Farrow, McCluster, Oliver, these are guys you have no faith in. If Danny Woodhead was around, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But that's the thing, Gary, and you said it. Going from 0 to 10, and you're in a fantasy football league, this is the ultimate sell high candidate, I think, in Gordon, because I don't think you can keep up this pace. The numbers are going to dictate. I think Phillip Rivers, and now that Henry's banged up, him and Gates are going to have a relationship like they've had for years in the red zone. He's going to get targets and a lot of looks there. There is no other option, but in leagues, I think you can get a lot for Melvin Gordon right now because people just see the touchdowns. They get sparkles in their eyes. They get blinded by it. He can't keep up the pace.
No, and the problem he's going to have is if he doesn't score these touchdowns. It's weird for a guy who gets as much bulk as he does to say he's touchdown dependent. Usually when we say touchdown dependent, it's like you bring up Antonio Gates. So with Hunter Henry, it was like, okay, well, Gates is only going to get 4 or 5 targets a game max. He's got to make one of those into a touchdown. Right now, Melvin Gordon is 4th in the NFL in carries with 138, but he's only 12th in rushing yards with 461. That's because of the 21 running backs with 80-plus carries so far this season. Only, and I bring this name up in not a positive sense, only Todd Gurley has a lower yards per carry this year than Melvin Gordon's 3.3 yards per carry. But the thing here is it's not just the touchdowns because, those could come and go. You could say, if San Diego was a middle-of-the-pack sort of offense right now and they were scoring that many touchdowns, you'd think, okay, maybe this number goes away at some point. But right now, San Diego leads the NFL in red zone drives per game at 4.7. And Melvin Gordon, only 2 running backs have more attempts inside the 20, that being LeGarrette Blount and Matt Forte. He's getting over 80% of the team carries inside the 20. I want to be with, I own Melvin Gordon. It's frustrating.
Does he have the body type, though, Gary, to keep it up, too? Do you think he is. But
got fresh legs.
I just worry about the wear and tear if he's getting that many touches. And you look at the components that they have, the backups are horrible in San Diego. There's no other legitimate guy that you can go, I have confidence in giving him the ball. Also, I will say this. The fumble at the end of the game, there's a couple times in Gordon's career where he's had fumbleitis, and it's something that the coaches have addressed. So I think he's going to his carries and touches are going to go down.
I just don't know where they go. I just don't know who gets them. Do you really want Farrow getting the ball that much? I don't know. So it's a situation that I can understand, from a numbers perspective. He's not run well. He's just running always inside the 5. So that's great. I don't know if that stops. It's a tough matchup this week. The 1 week he hasn't scored a touchdown this year was against the Denver Broncos. But in a weird way, you just kind of get both games against the Broncos off the table.
Yeah, and then it's smooth sailing for the rest of the season.
Exactly. Oakland again at this point. It's a weird situation. I think if you can sell him high, try to sell high. But I wouldn't be selling him short.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Only take a great deal.
Exactly. Well, you bring up Hunter Henry and Antonio Gates earlier. Hunter Henry has entered the league's concussion protocol. That obviously puts him in question for that aforementioned game against the Denver Broncos. And this opens up a weird situation, the exact inverse of what we were talking about going into that Thursday night game just 2 weeks back, where now Antonio Gates might be fantasy relevant again. I mean, he's coming off a 10-target game against Atlanta. And as I mentioned, with that team living in the red zone, maybe Antonio Gates can't run, between the 20s anymore. He might not have that juice left in him, but he can run a post
Yep.
from the 5-yard line, you know?
To your point, Gary, and too, the last time he played Denver, 2 catches for 16 yards. But if you throw a touchdown in there, a bad fantasy game becomes a good fantasy game, and that's what we're going to get with him against a vaunted defense like the Denver Broncos. So it really hurts me because I picked up Henry off the waiver wire in one of my leagues, and he has been fantastic with the 3 touchdowns. He was getting a nice yardage. I know they still look for Gates in the red zone, but Antonio Gates is still one of the guys in the matchup against Denver that I don't like it at all. As I said, 16 yards, 6 targets that game. Going against Atlanta was a whole different story. So I'm going to actually pass. And we talked about it. We were talking with producer Chris. I will take Vernon Davis over him in matchups. So I'm leaning to Old Man Davis over Old Man Gates.
Let's stick with AFC offenses. Talking about the Colts right now, and Dante Moncrief will practice Wednesday. Chuck Pagano announcing that. And you know, it might be in a limited capacity, but when someone practices this early in the week, generally that means they are going to play that Sunday. And this is music to the ears of Andrew Luck and probably Dante Moncrief owners. But the question, Cam, is how much trust can you have in this guy, considering, too, that other parts of this offense are coming back. Philip Dorsett also practicing on Wednesday. Dwayne Allen is still a little banged up.
What about Jack Doyle? That's what I was going to say. If you're a Jack Doyle owner, this news is not good because you're riding a hot hand right now. And Andrew Luck, he's got to distribute the ball. Who's he going to go to? More Moncrief. What?
Chester Rogers.
Chester Rogers. Yeah, we got Hilton, Dorsett. Jack Doyle's been on fire. Like, that's the thing. He's got a lot of mouths to feed right there, and you're pretty happy if you're a Doyle owner. But with Moncrief coming back, what was he, 7 for 73 and a touchdown before he got hurt? He'll be a big weapon on that team, so I think it diminishes the fantasy ownership of a lot of the other top guys on the Colts.
It's tough. It's an interesting matchup, too, against the Chiefs because the Chiefs have been better lately.
They're ball hawks.
They're ball hawks, too, and they by DVOA, have a top 10 pass defense. Justin Houston probably won't be back for this game.
Huge.
That's sort of the one area that I'm kind of concerned about for the Chiefs in this aspect. They have not been good at getting to the quarterback so far this season. They actually have the lowest amount of sacks in the NFL.
Lots of interceptions, though.
Lots of interceptions, but their adjusted sack rate is not good, and we know the way to beat the Colts.
Get to Luck.
Is to get to Luck. I mean, this could be a situation where that line is so bad that maybe this is the first week we see Kansas City get pressure, but I'd like to see a team that can bring that pressure just across the board and know they're going to disrupt Luck.
Yep.
I don't know if the Chiefs can do that necessarily. So I think that if Moncrief plays, he's like a low-end wide receiver 3.
Very low, yeah. I'd be very, very tread lightly with Moncrief.
I think it's not the best matchup. Jeremy Langford, before we get out of here, has returned to practice. He practiced yesterday for the Chicago Bears. This creates a very complex situation for people who are rolling out Jordan Howard. Naeem Carey was already cutting into his carries. And Jordan Howard put up a stinker of a game against the Packers on Thursday night. Now, we had talked going into that game how good the Packers' defense had been against running backs who were not on the Dallas Cowboys, which will happen at some point. But this Minnesota defense is just as stout as Green Bay. I feel like, obviously, this is of interest to people. I think it ruins Jordan Howard a bit. But if you were having to play Jordan Howard anyway this week, this might be a nice sort of like, just steer clear completely. Don't even talk yourself into it. There is no reason to play any of these guys against Minnesota. Then there's a bye. We can readdress this situation week 10.
The thing about the Bears running back situation, too, is like when nobody's taking the torch, what about Carey? In the last couple, 5.6, 4.8 yards per carry. He's just not getting bulk carries. But I'm looking at a guy like Jacquizz Rodgers, who's putting up less. But there's only one mouth to feed in Tampa Bay, so they keep on feeding it. The problem is Chicago is you just don't have faith in anybody. So I'm just saying, I think Carey should be getting more touches and looks.
The problem here, too, is even if this wasn't Minnesota, who has one of the best defenses in the NFL right now, if this was any defense, realistically, you would think that they'd be able to stack the box this week against Chicago because at this point,
beat us. Mark, he looked awful. Yeah, that's disgusting.
I don't think Chicago can put up 10 points in this game. I don't think they can necessarily score a touchdown in this game on offense. So again, I want no.
Is there any fantasy player like Zach Miller?
I might get talked into Alshon, but even Alshon for me is around Dante Moncrief in terms of low-end wide receiver 3 this week. So no part of the Bears for me.
No Bears.
You mentioned Jacquizz Rodgers, though, Cam.
Yes.
HotRoster has been nice enough to possibly name a card after HotRoster today. We've made it, Cam. It's only been 3 weeks.
Yes.
So we're going to talk
about
the
Blazers.
HotRoster today sampler card on which Jacquizz Rodgers is featured when we come back on the show.